What's going on, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Quick reminder for all things Dodger baseball all off-season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And as always, some of your takes down below in the comments section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. 1, should the Dodgers offer Max Scherzer more money? And 2, how do you think the Dodgers should replace Max Scherzer in the rotation? Should they sign a remaining free agent? Should they make a trade? Who do you want to see them go after? Let me know down below. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So Max Scherzer is long gone after signing a record 3-year, $130 million contract with the New York Mets. The $43.3 million average annual value is an all-time record. He blew past Garrett Cole's $36 million that he set back in 2019. And in just a second, I'm going to tell you what I think the Dodgers need to do to replace the hole left by Max Scherzer in the front of the Dodgers rotation. Should they look to add an arm through free agency? Should they try to pull off a big trade? But first, Jon Heyman appeared on the Big Time Baseball podcast, and he talked about Max Scherzer's decision to sign with the New York Mets. He talked about how high the Dodgers were willing to go, how much money they were offering him. And I'm going to tell you why the Dodgers didn't offer Scherzer max money in just a second. But first, here's Jon Heyman talking about Scherzer's decision to head to Queens.
Scherzer, and they lost Seager, who they tried for, didn't quite keep. I think with Scherzer, along with those other teams, the Giants, who right now are one of my other losers, I think they were a little below the $40 million. The Mets went over $40 million a year, $43.3 million for Scherzer. Dodgers were more in the $36 million range, but Steve Cohen wanted to make sure that he would get him, and he did. They had a Zoom call. His wife talked to Erica Scherzer. They were really getting close, and doesn't hurt. Obviously a record deal, getting $129 million over 3 years, but obviously the money in the end is a major factor. We assumed, at least I did, and probably wrongly, that the Dodgers were the perceived favorite because as a trade piece, he said he only wanted to go to LA or San Diego. So I thought, for some reason he likes Southern California, as I do, as you do, and I don't blame him. And I think a lot of people felt that as well, but he does live in Jupiter, Florida, which was near the spring training site of the Nats, and only about 45 minutes from the Mets site. So, it's easier for him to be on the East Coast, really. So maybe the Mets didn't have to overpay by that much. We'll never know. And, certainly the money is, in the end, what decides things.
So when you listen to that soundbite from Jon Heyman, that's just not any MLB insider. That is Scott Boras' puppet. He's his right-hand man. He's his media mouthpiece, so he knows what he's talking about. If he's saying the Dodgers were at $36 million, and there's other reports out there that the Dodgers weren't willing to guarantee the third year, well, then the LA wasn't even close at all. I don't even think LA was second when it came to Max Scherzer's second option. I don't even think it came down to the Mets and the Dodgers. Based on everything you read, everyone you talk to, the Giants were very aggressive. The Angels were very aggressive. And something tells me that the Dodgers weren't willing to go as high as those other two teams. And I think if you're Max Scherzer, the proximity to where you live in Jupiter, Florida, the Mets spring training facility also being on the East Coast, the NL East where you're familiar, and then on top of that, we know that Max Scherzer wasn't very pleased with how he was used in Los Angeles. He didn't agree with the rest, and he wanted to go deeper into games, and he thought that he should have been pitching on shorter rest at times, and that would have built him up better for the postseason. We saw it led to him having some dead arm, and he wasn't able to go in the biggest game of the season for the Dodgers, Game 6 of the NLCS. So I think if you're the Dodgers, they said, hey, you have dead arm at age 37. I think you're going to be dead weight at age 40. So I don't think the Dodgers were willing to go well past $100 million. And then you add the fact they're still dealing with the uncertainty of Trevor Bauer's contract. It's looking at this point like he's not going to face a significant suspension, so I doubt they're going to recoup funds from that. I don't know if they're going to try to work a trade, if they're going to try to bring him back. That's just completely up in the air at this point. But the big question now is, how do the Dodgers fill this rotation? We're going to do multiple videos on possible trades and possible free agent signings, but right now it's about the options. And the first option is going to be signing some of the unsigned free agents that are still available. And there are some nice names out there, but a lot of names are off the board. For right-handed pitchers, a lot of the big names are already off the board. Justin Verlander, there's a little conflict with his contract, but he'll end up with the Astros. Then Michael Wacha, he signed with the Tampa Bay Rays. Noah Syndergaard, he signed with the Angels. Marcus Stroman, he signed a 3-year, $71 million deal with the Cubs. Of course, Max Scherzer, he signed that big deal with the Mets. Nick Martinez, he signed with the Rays. Jordan Lyles, he signed with the Orioles. Corey Kluber, he signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Rays. John Gray, he was an interesting name that the Dodgers were linked to during the season. He ends up signing a 4-year, $56 million deal with the Texas Rangers. I think that could be a really nice signing for them. And then Kevin Gausman, he signs with the Blue Jays. Anthony DeSclafani, he signed with the Giants. Not worried about that one. I think he was a sticky stuff merchant. That's why I was calling him Anthony DeSclafani. And then Alex Cobb, he signed with the Giants. And then Dylan Bundy, he signed a 1-year deal with the Twins. Now, when it comes to lefties, you got Andrew Heaney. He, of course, signed with the Dodgers on that 1-year, $8.5 million deal. Rich Hill, he signed a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Red Sox. Steven Matz, he was a very interesting name to keep an eye on. He signed that 4-year, $44 million deal with the Cardinals. Then James Paxton, he signed with the Red Sox a 1-year, $10 million deal. The big name out there, Robbie Ray, the AL Cy Young Award winner, he signed a 5-year, $115 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Eduardo Rodriguez, he signed a 5-year, $77 million deal with the Tigers. And then old friend Alex Wood, he signs with the Giants, a 2-year, $25 million deal to head back to San Francisco. Now, of course, when it comes to the unsigned pitchers available, you have to start with Clayton Kershaw, left-handed pitcher. There's a lot of talk right now that the Rangers are a real possibility. He just had his 4th child. We'll see what happens with Kersh. We've kind of done a deep dive on him, but last year at 3.0 FIP, that was his lowest FIP since 2016. So if he's healthy, he can definitely contribute. He can definitely be a solid number 3 or number 4 starter in your rotation. He'll have those vintage Kersh outings like we saw last year against the Cubs and some other really nice outings for Kersh. And then there's Carlos Rodon. He's a very interesting name, especially if Kershaw ends up going to the Rangers. He's a lefty. He had a big bounce back year for the White Sox, had that no-hitter, but for him, there's still those shoulder concerns. He had shoulder fatigue to end the 2021 season. He's also a Scott Boras client, and he's made it known that he's not going to sign a 1-year deal. So I think if you're the Dodgers, if he would be willing to sign a big 1-year deal or something along those lines, almost a prove-it-to-me type contract, that'd be interesting. But if he's looking for a big multi-year deal or 3, 4, 5-year deal, I think that's something that I'd be weary of if I was LA. But if LA could get him at the right price, it could be an intriguing option. Then, of course, you got Kikuchi, who's on the Mariners last year. He's another left-handed pitcher, but there's not very many options as far as top flight guys. I think if you want to go that route, you're going to have to explore the trade market. We've talked about a potential deal with the Cincinnati Reds for Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo and guys of that ilk. And then, of course, you got the Oakland A's. They're an option. Should they just raid the A's and try to poach some of their players, the Frankie Montazes of the world, the Chris Bassett's of the world? So there will be some trade options the Dodgers could explore this offseason. Also, you have those in-season trades, and sometimes those are the best ones when it comes to value, because at this point, there's a lot of teams that have big dreams. They think they can contend, and then by the trade deadline, half and more than half the league is just done. They're willing to ship out guys. So that's something to consider too. And we're going to take a deep dive into the free agents and the trade possibilities in another video. But I think now that we know how much the Dodgers were willing to pay Max Scherzer and the fact that they felt they needed another frontline starter, I think that's very telling as far as what their offseason plans are. So I think it's very important. And we're going to break everything down about the potential options in another video as well. So be on the lookout for that one. But let me know down below in the comment section, what do you think the Dodgers should do? Should they sign a pitcher? Should they trade for a pitcher? And which names do you want them to go after? Let me know down below. My name is D-Mac. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Quick reminder for all things Dodger baseball all off-season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you want to see us post even more Dodgers Dodgers content, smash that like button. For all latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to gearup.la. Download the new Dodgers Nation app for my Android and iPhone users. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.